I practiced that this morning, but it did not go so well. So you're here for a relaxation talk and demo. Is everyone happy with that? Let me talk about how the brain works. Now, imagine that we're all cavewomen and caveman. So we've got our cave mentality, and when we were back in the cave, we only had this part of the brain. That's called the primitive mind. The primitive mind is only designed to keep you alive. That's its function. It's looking out for danger, it's looking out for threat. It's basically only there to kind of keep you safe. So that's the only real function of the primitive part of our brain. Now, the cave woman and the caveman, when they were in the cave, the way they would communicate with each other, they didn't have language, they didn't have the written words, they didn't have Snapchat and Facebook. You know, they only had emotion. That was the only way that they could communicate with each other. So if you think about it, if there was a tiger that ran in now, and I'm not expecting a tiger. She looks really confused then. If a tiger ran in now, and I'm a cave woman, I wouldn't be able to shout, "Everyone get out of here, there's a tiger." I'd just go, and you'd probably go, "Okay, there's something wrong." So my stress or my fear or my anxiety would literally show up on my face as an emotion. So that's what comes from this part of the brain, that's why this part of the brain is our emotional mind. So then, through evolution, as we've evolved into the beings we are now, we've grown on top an intellectual mind. The intellectual mind wraps around the primitive mind, so we've still got primitive, even though we're not in the cave anymore, but fortunately, this is what makes us human beings and not dogs and cats, because dogs and cats, unfortunately, even though your dogs and cats might look intellectual, they're not actually intellectual. They haven't got an intellectual capacity. So our intellectual mind is the part of our mind that we really want to be in as much as we can. Now the reason why is because when you're in your intellectual mind, you're able to see things from a different perspective, you're able to make a proper assessment of a situation based on current reality, you're able to be objective, you're picking out facts, you're looking at things from a higher perspective and a deeper perspective, you're engaging with other people in a positive way, you're optimistic, you're usually confident. So it's a good place to be. So we want to be in that part of the brain as much as we can because your intellectual mind knows you have a primitive mind. It makes allowances for that. So it understands you have an emotional mind. Now, if you were only in your intellectual mind, not in your emotional mind, you'd be called a psychopath. So I'm not, and you might know some people, psychopathic, sociopathic tendencies, people who don't have a very big emotional connection, they're fully in their intellectual mind. So that's not a good place to be either. So I'm not wanting anyone to be only emotional or only intellectual. What I'm really wanting is the kind of combination of the two. So you've got a good emotional awareness, but that's emotional intelligence. You know, so that's the idea. So your primitive mind doesn't know you have an intellectual mind. So imagine this, like if you think about when we get into our primitive states, it would be like if we're really super angry about something, like really angry, and then someone will come along and they'll be like really calm. They'll be like, just calm down. What happens? You don't go, oh yeah, you're right. I'm so angry, I'll just calm down. You just want to smack them in the face, don't you? So the primitive mind doesn't know it can get into the intellectual. It doesn't have that awareness. It just gets worse and worse and worse. Does that make sense? And everyone's probably had that experience. But you all look sort of calm and nice and rational, so I imagine no one really throws their dollies out the pram. But that's what we want to avoid, really, is we want to hold on to the intellectual mind as much as possible. So we know how to get into this part of the mind, because that's through stress. How do you think we get into this part of the mind? Relaxation. Yay! So that's why relaxation is so important, because it basically engages your intellectual capacity. And I don't mean you have to go through life going, right, okay, everyone stop talking, I've just got to sit here and shut my eyes for 10 minutes and relax. It doesn't have to be like that. But what happens when you learn how to do it as a skill over and over again, like with anything, as you practice it, it becomes part of you. Does that make sense? And like, for example, me, I've been doing this for 8 years. If I say to myself, relax, I can literally feel myself going, like even with my eyes open, me talking to you. Like you all here today, there's nothing happening, as in nothing happening in my body. It's not happening, but as in there's no stress going on in my physiology. My heart's completely level, my tummy's fine. Do you know what I mean? So I don't feel at all stressed. It's because I know how to, incorporate relaxation. So it would be helpful with anybody really, wherever you are, like even if it's at work, if you have to do a presentation or you have to do, I don't know, something that you're not comfortable with, at home when you have to talk to like your annoying husband or wife.
Don't forget that I'm here.
You could have a husband, I'm really PC. I've been told not to hypnotise anyone, so no one's going to turn into a chicken, you'll be pleased to hear. So now I'm just going to... If you're not wanting to close your eyes, that's absolutely fine, but I'd like you to lower your gaze and just kind of keep your gaze as still as you can. So if you've got your legs crossed, perhaps uncross them and try to feel your feet on the floor. So just for now, making those adjustments into comfort. And after you've closed your eyes, if you've closed your eyes, closing your eyes to the external world really helps you open up your eyes to the internal world, to the powerful world of your imagination. And many people don't realise the importance of relaxation, but right now you're just going to give yourself a bit of an experience. So nothing is wrong, nothing is right. Everybody relaxes in their own way and in their own time. There is no wrong way or right way. But I'd like you to just take your focus for now just to your breathing. So just take some really nice, longer, deeper, slower breaths in and out. And every time you breathe in, really notice how you can send that breath just a little bit deeper into your belly each time. And every time you breathe out, really notice how you can send that breath away, almost like you can breathe out any niggles, any worries, any concerns. Anything for now you don't really need to hang on to because it's not important enough. It's almost like you can leave it all outside the door, and when you go on your way out, you can pick them up if necessary. But right now, this is your time. Time for you, when no one wants anything and no one expects anything. And there really is absolutely nothing whatsoever for you to do right now apart from just listen to the sound of my voice and also perhaps listening to anything else you can hear around you right now. Perhaps of the sounds and the noises outside the room, inside the room. And as you pay attention to any of these sounds and noises, it's almost as if you're inviting them into your experience. Part of your mind is noticing them, the other part of your mind can just let them go if they're not important enough. My voice clearly. 4, just becoming aware of the chair or the floor underneath you. 3, feeling the clothes against your skin. 2, wiggling your fingers and your toes. And 1, when you're ready, opening up your eyes.